We should do a show live from a comic book convention.
Yeah.
Lots of love out there for Sigmund Bloom. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I have a lot of love for the world out there.
Well, then let's give him that love.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
It is the Week 10 recap here on the Audible FootballGuys.com. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom, and the best game of the day, Houston and Cincinnati. Bloom, we kind of thought it would live up to the hype. And how many times have we been disappointed, right? Before we even jump into the game, how many times have we looked at matchups and be like, this is going to be a good one? And then, oh, okay, crap. But this time, it lived up to the hype, Bloom.
It did, and the NFL's mercurial. That's often why these things don't add up, right? Talked about it this week on the couch. We can know this is the chemical solution we have in this bottle. This is the chemical solution we have in this bottle right now, but we still don't know what's going to happen when we mix them. And for that matter, going into this game, Cincinnati was down some big pieces, or at least one piece, and one piece was questionable in their passing game. CJ Stroud, the week before his record-setting performance, had just gotten shut down by the Panthers. And I like that you took the prerogative. We usually go in chronological order, but let's go in relevance, because this was a very relevant game.
Well, this is the game that I wanted to talk about, and this is the game while I'm at a comic book convention. I've got Red Zone on, and I'm just like, huh? Oh, yeah, selling stuff. Anyway, Texans and Bengals, let's get it on. And it is the Houston Texans that come out on top. Big win, 30-27. Is CJ Stroud in the MVP conversation? Should he be in the MVP conversation? Bloom, you can chew on that one. I'll go over the box score. 356 yards, one touchdown, one INT for CJ Stroud. Noah Brown cannot be denied. Tackle him. 7 for 172 in this one. 4 for 71 for Dalton Schultz. Tank Dell, 6 for 56 and a touchdown. I thought he cost him the game at the end. Dropping the pass. Catch those passes, Tank. Anyway, and then we get to Devin Singletary, 30 for 150 and a touchdown. Okay, I've liked Devin Singletary a long time. We've never seen this. And usually teams just don't ever give him the opportunity, where it's Buffalo or Houston. He got it today, and it paid off. Stroud also with the rushing touchdown to benefit his fantasy day. And Bloom, yeah, let's talk about the maybe MVP, CJ Stroud.
Yeah, if we're going strictly by the letters and what they mean, most valuable player, yeah, I think CJ Stroud has been as valuable to his team as any player has been to their team. And just look at the turnaround. Look at the turnaround for this team as they look like a legit playoff team. Look, these teams now have the same record. And I know Joe Burrow was hurt at the beginning of the year, but this was a Texans roster that you would say there's zero chance, even with Joe Burrow being hurt for a month, they would have the same record and beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. So, yeah, they're in the playoff conversation now. The AFC playoff picture is just a mess. It's a free-for-all. They should feel like they belong in that conversation. Probably his best play of the day was a touchdown that didn't even count. Improvisation, we're seeing things again that we saw. Hints, flickers of at Ohio State, but now you're really seeing it, and you're seeing the team rally around him. They have a running game. Devin Singletary's not giving this backfield back now. He's more than a what-the-heck flex. Noah Brown, one of the waiver wire pickups of the year.
Yes.
CJ Stroud, right? That's CJ Stroud. Tank Dell with his footwork, with the speed, with the toughness on the touchdown, took a big hit, still came back in the game. Like you said, maybe a miscue there at the end, but he's a big part of this. Dalton Schultz, reliable target downfield. And that's the thing. What you see about CJ Stroud is it isn't just like a Brock Purdy situation where the offense is humming and everybody's doing their job and he has such good talent around him that all he has to do is execute. He's making throws. He's asking his guys to make plays, and they're making plays, and it's building. We did see Cincinnati in this game not go away. Cincinnati showed the heart of a champion. Cam Taylor-Britt leaves with an injury, comes back, saves the game with an interception, basically. And the Bengals will feel like this one slipped away from them. But this Texans team now gets to go to Arizona. Arizona's coming to Houston. Wouldn't it be sweet if they win and devalue that first-round pick that Arizona's holding of theirs?
Let's discuss what we saw from one Cincinnati. There is Joey B, 347, 2 up and 2 down, sacked 4 times on the day. And Jamar Chase, he did play, and they had alerted us at the beginning of the week. I'd put it in the
Yeah.
Football Guys newswire, like Chase is the type of guy that doesn't have to practice. And yes, I said doesn't. And then he can still play and shine. And oh boy, did he. 5 for 124 and a touchdown. Tyler Boyd, speaking of shine, the big 64-yarder, 8 for 117. People were gathered around my table, not only for the hot comic books bloom, but because I had Red Zone on. And that Tyler Boyd play got people going. Trenton Irwin, nobody started him. 2 for 54 and a touchdown in this one. Joe Mixon, 11 for 46 and 1 rushing touchdown. So they do show that heart of the champion, but at the end of the day, fall short.
They do, because for a while, the Texans were holding Burrow down. Burrow had an excellent first drive and then was very quiet for a lot of this game until it was to the, you better start doing something or the game's going to slip away. And he did. Led off with the Trenton Irwin Tanner Hudson drive, just like we drew it up. And Chase was kind of quiet for a while, did eventually get a long touchdown. You saw a rough interception in the end zone that Burrow threw. Another one, maybe, if he had a real receiving tight end, Drew Sample, went off his hands. It was a tough catch, the kind of catch that Dalton Schultz was making, for instance, for C.J. Stroud. But you eventually saw them, with the help of the defense, get all the way back. Tyler Boyd dropped a go-ahead touchdown. They had to settle for the tie field goal, and then C.J. Stroud did the rest. This team's going to turn on and play on Thursday. And see, this is a similar conversation. After everything was great for the Bengals, Joe Burrow's healthy, they're clicking. Now you're in the AFC. This is the same conversation we're having about Buffalo. You're not guaranteed anything. You've got to win in the second half of the year just to keep playing in January. And they have to turn around on Thursday and go to Baltimore. A Baltimore team is going to be pretty angry for this one.
They are going to be angry birds. Indianapolis, New England. Bloom, I'm angry. I have to talk about this game.
Yeah.
So the
Sorry,
rare,
Germany.
talk about them both, please, because it's like,
Sure.
okay, Demario Douglas had 6 for 84. I love Demario Douglas. Michael
Right.
Pittman continues to do his thing, 8 for 84. I love that
Right.
guy. Jonathan Taylor had a rushing touchdown. All right there. But it's Gardner Minshew versus Mac Jones with the Bailey Zappi appearance. I am
Right.
not interested. By the way, the Colts
I'll tell you
won.
what. Yeah, the Colts win. I'll tell you what is interesting in this one, Cease. All the shots of Robert Kraft and feeling like, yeah, this is it. I mean, this is a Patriots team that who's going to be their quarterback next year? Who's going to be their head coach next year? I don't know. Did you see one of the ambassadors for the game was one Sebastian Vollmer? You talk German NFL
You
stars.
sent that to me. Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Draft Guys TV alum. But you see, this is going to be a simple Colts offense, at least when they're playing teams that can't put points on the board. A lot of Taylor, a lot of Pittman. Zach Moss barely seeing it in this one, the ball, that is. Ramondre Stevenson left with a back issue, but he's still giving everything he's got. Pop Douglas, he's still giving everything he's got. He's a player on the rise, no matter who the quarterback is. Mac Jones actually benched. He missed an easy touchdown to Hunter Henry on a terrible throw, and then the next time they came to the red zone, threw an interception that even I'm looking at that one saying, I could do better. I could do better than that, Mac Jones. And that was whenever the Patriots said, we've seen enough, and put Bailey Zappi in. And Bailey Zappi did a clever fake spike. He's Dan Marino. Fake
Dan
spike.
Marino
He's going to
style.
throw an interception. He fake spiked to throw an interception. That's where the Patriots are. Both teams get a bye to think about just how bad it was to subject the world to this game.
I don't know if I want to subject the world to my hat hair. So back on with the Smoking Gun Comics beanie. Anyway, back to the action from the National Football League. And well, my man, shout out Smurf, my dude Daniel Schnarder, 5280 Geek. And he goes to comic book conventions across the country. I actually had a Star Wars book he's never seen in his lifetime, Bloom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there you go. Geekiness. But he's a Packers fan. I'm kind of a Steelers fan. I don't know what I am anymore. I have no idea. But we were watching this with great interest because he wanted the Go Pack Go. I wanted the Steelers to win, and I won. You won. The Steelers won 23-19, the final score. Jordan Love's not the guy. 289, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Jaden Reed doing more, 5 for 84 and a touchdown. Okay. Luke Musgrave, 2 for 64. Righteous. Romeo Dobbs, love him. 3 for 31 and a touchdown. Cool. Christian Watson, stop making him a thing. It was an A.J. Dillon day, huh? Over Aaron Jones. What? All right. But the Packers did struggle, although Love was only sacked one time against that fierce Steelers defense.
Yeah, Cease, I've been talking about it all year. As a Steelers fan, this is kind of a flashback, right? And what is one of the ultimate pain, trauma areas as a Steelers fan is the defense on 3rd and long. 3rd and long. You got the Steelers right where do you want them? Jaden Reed with a long touchdown on 3rd and 16 in this game. 3rd and 16. So yeah, you're right, Cease. Jordan Love's not the answer, but what does it mean that he was still successful throwing downfield against this defense and had a chance to win the game, had one play to win the game at the end? Some of that's on the Steelers offense. We'll talk about that. But Jordan Love, not the answer, but I will say they have a lot of interesting pieces. Actually, Christian Watson gets 2 catches on the first drive, no catches after that. More targets, 7 targets on the game, but no catches. Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs with a nice touchdown catch in the corner of the end zone. That trust in the end zone from Love. As you said, Aaron Jones didn't get much going in the running game or as a receiver. A.J. Dillon had one nice run. Otherwise, he was pretty much held in check. And yeah, this is a Green Bay team, mediocre quarterback, and a lot of questions. And this is not a team, unlike the Patriots, this is not a team that has an owner that's going to step in and say that's enough. So how much longer does Matt LaFleur get? Does Jordan Love count as his first-round quarterback? Does he get a chance to do it again? Lots of boring questions, but not as boring as the Steelers offense.
Yes, and Matt Canada. I know, what do they have, 14 early on, Bloom, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, is Matt Canada? No.
No.
No, God, no. Kenny Pickett, 126 yards passing for the entire game on 23 attempts, by the way. Jalen Warren, 15 for 101 and a touchdown. Cool. Najee Harris, 16 for 82 and a touchdown. Double cool. It was 36 rushing attempts, over 200 yards on the ground, which means if you started anyone in the passing game, you're disappointed with Deontay Johnson, 1 for 17. George Pickens, 3 for 45. Connor Hayward, 3 for 32. But they're winning. And Mike Tomlin, as loyal as they come. Matt Canada, you got a job.
Yeah. Well, this team could go to the playoffs, right? The defense is good enough that they can stay in a shell against mediocre opponents. Green Bay counts as a mediocre opponent. And because of that, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, you're not trusting anybody here. You're trusting the running backs. Jalen Warren, over 100 yards. I think but 15 touches. And Najee Harris has scored in 3 out of the last 4 games. So like we talked about, Cease, this is a Steelers team that can win games against the Packers. They're built to be safe on the offensive side of the ball, punishing running game, and every now and then ask Kenny Pickett to make a throw. And now, wow, Steelers go to Cleveland team that they beat earlier this year.
Can they do it again? We shall see. Well, Will Levis was like that Daffy Duck magic trick. I can only do it once.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay wins over Tennessee 20-6. The final score. Levis goes 199 yards, no touchdown, 1 INT, sacked 4 times, harassed all day. But Kyle Phillips came through. Shout out Kyle Phillips, 3 for 61. Tyjae Spears, 4 for 42 as a receiver. Nuke Hopkins had a really sweet matchup. Didn't do anything. 3 for 26. Chiggy, I love him. 3 for 27. Nothing. Derrick Henry, 11 for 24. I had so many people coming up. I'm sorry. One, lots of love for Sigmund Bloom, but I did have one person come up to me and say, he needs better internet. Your internet's fine tonight, baby.
That's good. I will say this. If there were things I was going to lean in and try to fix in New Orleans, the internet would be pretty low on that list.
Is an Elon there to help with some free Starlink? Anyway, but I did get a lot of people showing me their lineups that you helped them set.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. Hopefully Derrick Henry wasn't in any of those lineups. Yeah, everyone was happy. Everyone was happy, Bloom. Happy, except for Titans fans today.
Yeah, and Will Levis gives them some hope of the future, but you can see some limitations. It's still a better passing game than what they have with Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
He had a good drive to open. He spreads the ball around a lot, though, and that's the problem. So even in what was a good matchup on paper, there's not a good fantasy play here. Tyjae Spears making a few plays, but if this team's going to be playing from behind against a good run defense, Jacksonville's up next week. They have a pretty good run defense. Jacksonville's got their own questions of their own, and Derrick Henry has had some good days against Jacksonville in the past. So I'm not going to say to bench Derrick Henry. I am going to say this Tennessee team is going nowhere fast.
Going nowhere fast. What about Tampa Bay? Where are they going with Baker the Baby Maker? Maybe the playoffs?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's Mike Evans, really, right? It's Mike Evans. I did have our guy Chris. Where's Jedi Sith Lord? Shout out Chris Harp. He runs the website for me for smokingguncomics.com. He brought me a Dan LeFever card, and I was telling him about when the Chippewas went up against the Bulldogs of Georgia, and it was like everything they did, they fought so hard, but it was really Antonio Brown. Maybe that's what we're seeing with Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield. Like Baker Mayfield, 278, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, but it's Mike Evans doing everything, like 6 for 143 and a touch. Chris Godwin, 454. Rachaad White, 2 for 47 and a receiving touchdown. Then 20 for 51 on the ground. You'll take it. It's kind of what you're expecting from Rachaad White. Expected a little more from Cade Otton, 2 for 10. Nada in this one. But yeah, Tampa, a win and, well, questions with said win.
Yeah, you have them closing in as the Saints lose. Spoiler alert in Minnesota today. Carl, what's up, Carl, in the chat room? Good to see you there, man. Pointing out that Mike Evans tied Andre Reed for all-time receiving touchdowns. If you're mentioned in the same breath as Andre Reed, yeah, I believe Hall of Famer Andre Reed. So I don't know if Mike Evans is going to be a Hall of Famer. He looked like one today. He was a bully in that secondary, and he was more athletic than the Tennessee guys. And probably the most ignoble moment of the day was laid upon them, not by Mike Evans, but by Baker Mayfield and his being able to stand in the pocket, wait till the last second. See, it's one of a very discreet quarterback skill that you can watch on tape, hopefully, is can they hold the ball to the last second on the screen pass? Can you really sell so that the defenders that are rushing you feel like they're about to make a big play? Because he was able to do that, and Rachaad White scored from 43 yards out on a screen pass. Now, White's pretty fast, but come on, Tennessee. Seriously. So that was basically all they needed. Some plays from Evans downfield. White, who wasn't running well, but made your day if you played him. He keeps finding a way. Next week against San Francisco, a defense that is back this week. Still, White's probably going to catch a lot of passes. Mayfield does have a thumb injury, so we might see Kyle Trask. It's not certain. That could throw a little bump in the road for this team, as San Francisco's more than a bump in the road. But if they've got Mayfield, at least they got a puncher's chance.
What does Cleveland have besides the league's best defense? Like, what? Cleveland? What? Okay. People with parlays were very upset. But Cleveland at 6-3 beats Baltimore at home, who are now 7-3. 33-31 the final score. I got some thoughts on Lamar in just a little bit. Let's talk about the Browns offense, including Kareem Hunt with a rushing touchdown. But Jerome Ford, 17 for 107 in this one. Amari Cooper, 6 for 98. David Njoku, 6 for 58. Elijah Moore, they used him more. Had a receiving touchdown, 5 for 44 in this one. Sounds like a combo meal. Can I get the 5 for 44? 213, one up and one down for Deshaun Watson today. Sacked 4 times, but hey, they get the win, baby.
Yeah, and what a win. Okay, let me take a deep breath here, because I want to just describe the ebb and flow of this game. See a lot of games, Cease. Rarely see one like this, and it says a lot about the Browns. It says a lot about Kevin Stefanski. Maybe it says something about Deshaun Watson. Okay, Deshaun Watson comes out, first drive, pick 6. This game is 14-0, 5 minutes in. 14-0, 5 minutes in. It's 24-9 in the third quarter. Okay. Then Watson and company put together a 10-minute drive to make it 24-17. Then Myles Garrett makes a play. Then James Prochet, former Raven, muffs a punt just as the Browns are climbing back into the game. And the Ravens go up 31-17. Browns get the ball back. First play, Justin Madubuike sacks Deshaun Watson. Everything's going to be fine, Ravens. Everything's going to be fine. But then it is a pick 6 for the Browns. Greg Newsome. This was a banged-up secondary that lost Denzel Ward and Juan Thornhill. They get the touchdown to tie the game, except Dustin Hopkins misses the extra point. It's 31-30. They're going to lose in the most Browns fashion, but no. They make a play. Odafe Owe has a sack, but Deshaun Watson in the waning seconds still is able to overcome this with a run, with some passes. And this was a game that truly tests belief in self of a team. They had many opportunities to give up and say, it's just not our day. And they kept willing themselves to this victory. And that says a lot, because you probably would say the Ravens are one of the two best teams in the AFC coming into this game. They won the time of possession battle. They won the rushing yards battle. They won the third down. 2 of 8 on third down for Baltimore. 8 of 16 on third down for Cleveland. That's how they got this win that they had no business winning. Deshaun Watson was 6 of 20 in the first half, 14 of 14 in the second half. What happened in that locker room? And see, let's take a moment out to really appreciate this. And I know we're not the biggest Deshaun Watson fans, okay? But what is one of the things that we really love about sports? The ending's not written. The ending is not written. The story's being written. This was a game where the Browns were going to leave Baltimore with their tail between their legs. Deshaun Watson's never going to get this team over the hump. They're not even better off with Deshaun Watson. They probably would have been fine with Joshua Dobbs. By the way, Matt Waldman says, would the Steelers be better off with Joshua Dobbs or Kenny Pickett? If you say Joshua Dobbs and Trent McDuffie, I'm going to puke. Anyway, yeah, Browns fans were going to puke after the first half of this game. Now the narrative is entirely different. Now the momentum is different. It's momentum for Elijah Moore, who caught a touchdown. First good week for fantasy since week 3. Amari Cooper, of course, he's going to be fine with Watson. Also, by the way, the Ravens lost Marlon Humphrey in this game. David Njoku had a really bad drop as they were trying to come back. Still productive. Jerome Ford is for real, by the way, even though Kareem Hunt still gets the touchdowns. The Browns are for real. And yet in this AFC, nothing is promised to anybody. You got to keep winning. And again, the Steelers are coming to town next week.
We'll see what Baltimore can do. Lamar gets a little too cute with things at times, and we both appreciate Lamar.
Kind of
for
casual.
Sure. Very casual. The arm angle will be off, and it's like that pass wasn't even close because he's just like lazy with his mechanics and just out of nowhere. Like he'll be precise. He'll make the correct reads. He'll have proper pass placement. And then once in a while, Bloom, he'll just kind of flick it. And it's like, where was that going? It was not a good day passing the ball for Lamar Jackson. 13 of 23, 223 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs, sacked 3 times. Zay Flowers, 5 for 73. Mark Andrews, 2 for 44. Del Beckham Jr., 1 catch. Well, it was a 40-yarder, and it was for a touchdown. Keaton Mitchell is amazing. 3 for 34 and a rushing touchdown. Cool. Also had 1 for 32 as a receiver. Gus Edwards had 11 for 24 and a rushing touchdown. And Lamar Jackson, 8 for 41. So we talk about the lead built in this and what happens in the second half when you don't really run the ball. Yeah. Like you have that lead. Instead of 24 carries, it should have been 40 carries. And then you don't have the 23 passing attempts. You don't have Lamar looking off. And you probably have a W in a harder than you expected fought game.
Yeah, and you saw Keaton Mitchell go out, have the touchdown, have another big play early, and they barely go back to him. Right. Odell Beckham, by the way, had a catch and run touchdown on a slant. It really looked like Giants Odell Beckham. Cecil was the first time I can recall in 2 or 3 years seeing Odell Beckham make a signature Odell Beckham play, and he felt good doing it. You could feel that he could feel in his body. He felt like himself. Everything was breaking better for this team. Now, we've talked about Lamar Jackson's fantasy value in these games that they win comfortably. I guess they thought they were going to win comfortably because, again, only 23 pass attempts, not really leaning a lot on him as a runner, really not getting a chance to run their offense for very long. I mean, they had a good drive to go up 14-0 early. They had a drive to make it 24-9 in the third quarter. But, you know, this was they had one drive set up by the miscue by Prochet. Zay Flowers was okay in this one, but overall, this was not an impactful game for their offense as it could have been, like you say. And now they have to turn around and play Cincinnati. And maybe Baltimore doesn't have the smaller margin of error that Cincinnati and Buffalo have, but this season can get on top of you real quick. And in some ways, it's a good thing to turn around and play another surely hard-fought game against Cincinnati on Thursday. But in other ways, you're all of a sudden looking at back-to-back divisional losses in a division where the last place team has a winning record. You're sweating a little bit.
Right. Well, rich man, poor man time because Sam Darnold played. And it's like an outdoor shower. You have an outdoor shower, you're either really rich or really poor. Sam Darnold plays, it's either, oh my God, What happened? What happened to Brock Purdy? Or like, hey, I guess Sam Darnold's their guy. Well, Brock Purdy threw 3 touchdowns. Like, enough, buddy. 34-3, the 49ers win over Jacksonville. Christian McCaffrey, 16 for 95. Debo, 4 for 30 as a receiver, 3 for 29 and a rushing touchdown. George Kittle, 3 for 116 and a receiving touchdown. Of course, Brandon Ayuk, 3 for 55 and a touchdown there as well. So just when you thought the 49ers, they're on the ropes, they get a little break and they get a little bit of a beatdown for Jacksonville.
Yeah, they do. They take out some frustration. And we broke it down in the preview. Sees 4 straight wins for Jacksonville coming into this one, 3 straight losses for San Francisco. Well, we saw how that turned out. And with San Francisco, you have Trent Williams back. You have Deebo Samuel back. And Trent Williams really is the bigger name of those two. And everything looked easy. Everything looked easy for Brock Purdy. He's looking like a low quarterback one going forward. Low ceiling, but a high floor. In a comical sequence, they did try to get Christian McCaffrey touchdown in this one. They were up. It was garbage time. All the other starters were out, but McCaffrey was still in because he was tied with, I think it was Lenny Moore with 17 straight games with a touchdown. Did not get number 18 because everybody knew he was getting the ball. You see, that's the problem. But otherwise, all the mouths get fed. Kittle with the 66-yard catch and run touchdown. Ayuk getting a touchdown early. Samuel getting a rushing touchdown. Samuel's ceiling's a little bit lower, with McCaffrey getting some of the same kind of touches he used to get. Ayuk's ceiling's a little bit lower with Samuel healthy, and Kittle needs a 66-yard touchdown to make your week, but he can do that in any given week. Everything's fine with this team, with Tampa Bay coming to the West Coast.
Jacksonville side, is everything okay? Christian Kirk, 6 for 104. That's okay. Then Dearness Johnson was their second leading receiver. Nobody has Dearness Johnson on the roster. You have Travis Etienne, 9 for 35, 2 for 9 as a receiver. You've got Trevor Lawrence. He threw 2 picks. CJ Beathard was on the field in this game. That's not good. 185 for Trevor and sacked 5 times. Certainly harassed by the 49ers, and thus the shortcomings for Jacksonville exposed in week 10.
Yeah. So you get the feeling San Francisco's telling Jacksonville, this ain't the AFC South, baby. This is real football. You better bring it, because Trevor Lawrence, and this is already a conservative passing game. You have the ability for Calvin Ridley to be blotted out by a Charvarius Ward. You have, Christian Kirk was okay. He fumbled inside the 5. It was returned for a touchdown, but I think everybody from the 49ers celebrated from the sideline on the field, so they took the touchdown away. But, it was that kind of, so it could have been there. Trevor Lawrence also had a terrible interception in this one. Terrible because it was Tank Bigsby, another drop interception when they were driving. And the San Francisco defense is back now with Chase Young, Cleveland Farrell, these reclamation projects making plays. Of course, they still have, Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead, some first-round picks of their own. I say for this one, it's a yardstick game. They were welcoming the yardstick games. You tripped over the yardstick. You busted your face. You got a bloody lip now. You got to get up and play Tennessee, a team more. Pick on someone your own size.
Minnesota and New Orleans, yeah, about the same size, right? Heading into this game. I don't know what the Vegas line was, but 27-19, the final score. The Vikings get the win, and it's Jameis Winston out there slinging it with Derek Carr, bounced. And then here comes Jameis, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Sounds about right for Jameis. Chris Olave, 6 for 94 and a touchdown. A.T. Perry, Shrine Bowl alert. One of the best players that I saw down there besides Zay Flowers was A.T. Perry, and I compared him to Tim Patrick. So deep dynasty, regular dynasty, even now redraft bloom. We are talking about A.T. Perry. And as a Star Wars fans, well, at least me anyway. You're kind of an adopted Star Wars fan, though. You've come around.
An original Star Wars fan. I can remember waiting in the long line to see Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I would have been probably 5 or 6 years old, and I can remember that.
Did you call them AT-ATs or AT-ATs?
AT-ATs.
Yeah, at Perry.
See, let me tell you my Star Wars fan cred. Okay.
Yeah.
I have stitches in a gap in my eyebrow because I took a big green stick to the head playing Star Wars when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Okay, so I have a scar. What do you have to show your Star Wars cred?
Right. Speaking of green sticks, some more pot stoner degenerates like, yeah, one of those.
Wait a second. You're
Wait,
fine.
what? Let's talk about the Jameis Winston-led Saints, Bloom.
Yeah, and it took some incredible plays from Chris Olave and A.T. Perry for them to even score touchdowns in this game. It was really a blowout, and Derek Carr and the offense looked lethargic again, and then Carr leaves with an injury. Jameis Winston, at least he'll take some chances, but yeah, not much going on here. Michael Thomas, after a rough week, some sort of run-in with a contractor, getting arrested by the Kenner PD, and he gets hurt in this one. They're still in first place. Tampa Bay's closing on them. They go into their bye. Exciting stretch run of the NFC South.
Yes, that's correct, sir. And let's talk about Josh Dobbs. Did I see it correctly? They had to show him where to go.
Yeah.
Like where the
Living in
locker
a
room was.
hotel.
Did you see that? Where they're like, they bring him into the stadium and then the guy's like pointing like, down there's the locker room. Like he doesn't even know where to go. He knows how to get those wins. That's for sure. Maybe he could put up some satellites for free internet in New Orleans. Free internet for everybody.
Yeah.
Come on. Nikola Tesla was on to things. People, don't open up that wormhole on YouTube, Bloom. Josh Dobbs, 268, 1 touchdown, no INTs. TJ Hawkinson, 11 for 134 and a touch. Amazing. Jordan Addison, 4 for 69. Nice. Brandon Powell, 4 for 35 in this one. Alexander Madison, 8 for 27. Dobbs had a rushing touchdown. And then Ty Chandler. That's right. Speedster from North Carolina. Well, 3 yards to carry, but say, hey, you got 45 yards and rushing touchdown in this one. Let's talk about Minnesota. Let's praise Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
Let's go over this thing, baby, because this is fun.
Yeah. So much fun. Oh, my. Cease, week 9. What's the story? Joshua Dobbs and
Josh
CJ
Dobbs.
Stroud.
Right.
What's week 10 story?
Josh Dobbs, TJ Stroud.
Wow. And what, again, 5 teams in 12 months, right? I mean, like, or 15 months or whatever it was. And first, when he got that start, he started in the playoffs, right, for Tennessee? I mean, they basically picked him over Malik Willis, or he started with a game with playoff implications. My brain, it's late. It's been a long Sunday. And each stop, Cease, each stop where they say, we're just putting it all in your hands. I'm sorry, what's your name again? Oh, yeah, Dobbs. Each stop, he gets better and better. And notice how the narrative has changed. We talked about the narrative changing for Cleveland. What was the narrative this year with Kirk Cousins?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to win all the one-score games. There's no way they're going to go back to the playoffs. Right. They're a fraud. Yep. One-score games are variable, and there's just no way they're going to break 11-0.
Yep.
And that happened. And you were right. You were right if you said that. And then they're going to get Joshua Dobbs, and he's going to play them back into playoff contention. And they're going to win one-score games. They're going to win one-score games. Wow. And Joshua Dobbs is second in the league in rushing yardage for quarterbacks. I think it was Mark Schlereth. Was Schlereth calling this game? I think it was. And he said, that will win you some bar bets. I like how he's thinking. Win some green chili. And TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison, they're going to be fine. And guess what? Joshua Dobbs has been a great fantasy play each of the last 2 weeks. And guess what? He's going to get Justin Jefferson back. Joshua Dobbs, league winner. And remember this. I want to take a moment to point this out, because me and you and everybody else, whenever they put Joshua Dobbs in, those poor Cardinals, they don't trust Clayton Tune. Colt McCoy's arm isn't working anymore. They have to just trade a pick from the couch cushions to get Joshua Dobbs, so they have somebody they can put out there. This is going to be a disaster. This is going to be comical. This is going to be one of the worst displays of NFL football we've seen. Fast forward 2 months, Joshua Dobbs is going to be a fantasy football league winner and maybe lead a team to the playoffs. So don't ever be so conceited to think that things that you want to dismiss as absurd are truly impossible, because it's the NFL, baby. And every year we see impossible become possible. Ty Chandler having fantasy relevance, that also might be possible. He goes from third string to first string. Alexander Madison leaves with a concussion in this one. And Chandler looked, is it hard to look better than Alexander Madison? He scored on a direct snap, Chandler did. And at the very least, Chandler, I think, is going to force a committee, if not, be the starter for a game against Denver, by the way. So, yeah, wow. This team, this is fun. And Joshua Dobbs just continues to etch his name a little more into that book of forever with these performances.
That is fantastic. What was great at that the new Call of Duty came out this week, and Kyler Murray still played. And he played pretty good. Still looks like a toddler that stole his mom's phone when he runs. But anyway, 25-23, the Cardinals beat the Falcons. Taylor Heineke. It's so bad they're starting Heineke and Ritter. Guess who could use Josh Dobbs? Bingo. I had a dog and his name was Bingo. Actually, it was Bear. Anyway, Bijan Robinson, 22-95 and a rushing touchdown. Finally, you use him and you don't win. Anyway, Drake London, 3 for 36. He's out there. Who's Heineke going to target? Nobody. Kyle Pitt, nobody. Well, man, at least I got Jonu out there. Nothing. Okay, Scott Miller had the touchdown. Nobody has him. Like,
Right.
Ritter had a rushing touchdown. Whatever. All right, here we go, Bloom.
Yeah, and they had this game to the very end, and Arizona took it from them. You're not even good enough to contend in the NFC South. Heineke with a hamstring injury. It was a Bijan Robinson game, so here's Arthur Smith. Tyler Algier is a really great red zone short yardage runner, but he actually uses Bijan Robinson. You know, is that something maybe that happens in marriages? Right? It's like, you're wrong, and then the next day you're actually like doing the thing that you said the person was wrong about. That's like Arthur. I'm saying Arthur Smith in fantasy. The marriages here is Arthur Smith and fantasy players. Like, why aren't you using Bijan Robinson? Because he's not as good as. Well, maybe he is actually better. That's why your GM used the number 8 overall pick on him. So yeah, well, at least Atlanta has a bye next week, so we don't have to talk about this offense.
Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray, 19-32, 249 yards, no touchdowns, 1 INT. Trey McBride, 8 for 131. Yes, this is what we were waiting for. Rondale Moore, 5 for 43. Michael Wilson, 3 for 34. Marquise Brown, he could be really good now that Kyler's 1 for 28. All right, McBride had everything. James Conner was back, 16 for 73. It was the rushing touchdown for Kyler Murray. Rushing touchdown for Clayton Tune there as well. So yeah, and James Conner, we felt like, just with the role alone, he could post some borderline RB1 numbers. Hey, throwing that rushing touchdown, he would have. But either way, the Cardinals win. Murray's back, and they're feeling good.
Yeah, they should be. Well, I mean, you've got something fun here now to be part of for the rest of the year. Kyler Murray looks like Kyler Murray. The numbers weren't quite Kyler Murray numbers yet, but they're going to get there because of Trey McBride, the clear number 1 target, and he sets up the game-winning field goal. We're one where Kyler just and Kyler just threw it up there. Kyler just kind of blindly threw one about 30 yards downfield, and McBride's like, I got this. Sets up the game-winning touchdown, so that's only going to increase the trust there. And you saw Michael Wilson do something here. You saw Rondale Moore. It was actually Marquise Brown only getting 4 targets, only 1 catch. Now, what's going to happen next week against Houston? Maybe more for him. So don't give up. He's coming soon to a hold on segment near us. But yeah, this is fun. This is interesting, this team. And we'll see. I think, by the way, BHA Ojolari, one of their draft picks, dominant on defense in this one. But Arizona gets to go to Houston, face this red-hot Texans team. They're holding their first. They can increase the value of Houston's first, hurt their first a little bit, Arizona's own first. But what you hope happens, Cecil, is after all the talk of, are they even going to play Kyler Murray because they risk his injury guarantee, but you got to show him off for the trade market, and are they going to use one of these two? Surely these picks are going to be in the top 5. Maybe neither pick's going to be in the top 5. Maybe they're not going to take a quarterback. Maybe they have Kyler Murray and they have 2 picks to take long-term starters elsewhere, and everything can resume for this franchise around Kyler Murray. So I think this was a great day for them, not just for today, but for what the future might bring.
Let's not make bold proclamations without further research. So get in the lab, Kyler Murray. See what you can do. It is the Lions, Bloom. Get ready. It's your Lions against the Chargers, and I thought for sure, when the Lions are up in this one, I was like, the Chargers are going to choke. Hey, almost 41-38, the final score. Lions get the win. They're 7-2. The Chargers are 4-5. Jared Goff, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, 333 yards. Most of it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, 8 for 156 and a touchdown. Khalif Raymond, 2 for 46. Brock Wright had the other touchdown. Sam Laporta, 4 for 40 in this contest. But this backfield, Bloom, this is where we got to shake it out because Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 for 77, 2 rushing touchdowns. David Montgomery's back. Oh, they're going to use, yeah, they did 12 for 116 in his own rushing touchdown, the big 75-yarder. So the Lions backfield confounding, but that record, that column with the W's keeps bumping up.
Yeah, you love it, right? You got to say first, Tony Romo, how many times in this game he says, the play calling, the play design, the play calling, the play design. Yeah, everybody. Ben Johnson. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, both running backs, all massive in this game. And it is a different backfield coming out of the bye. What Jahmyr Gibbs showed going into the bye, you're not going to put that back in the bottle. This is a 50-50 backfield, but Dave Montgomery says, I can just have a 75-yard touchdown run to make it okay. But I would say as of today, if you could pick one of the two to have going forward, it would not be Montgomery. Not that Montgomery is not an every week play. And then you have all these other elements. Laporta, this is a floor game. This is where we're at with him. Brock Wright gets the touchdown on the great play call, a short yardage running game. By the way, this team and Dan Campbell, and you got to love this about Dan Campbell. Dare I say, sees it's Belichickian. No matter how many times he goes for it on fourth down, and sometimes they don't make it, and exposes him to scrutiny and criticism. In this game, it was a tie game. It was 4th and 2. They were at about the Chargers 20. They could have kicked the field goal. Now, I understand that would not have been rational to trust the Lions defense, but if you don't make it, and then all the Chargers have to do is kick a field goal to win, not a field goal to tie, you're going to take a lot of scrutiny. Remember the Kevin Falk 4th down in the great game that we watched?
Yeah.
You trust the process and you trust your team. They went for it on 4th and 2, and they were able to make it on a pass to Laporta and then run out the clock and not give Justin Herbert a chance in this one. It's a fantasy perfect storm, a suspect defense, which was better for a little while, and a great, great offense that can strike in so many ways and continues to evolve because, hey, this was the first game they've had Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta, St. Brown, and Jameson Williams. I know he doesn't do much for fantasy, but tactically, you have to account for that guy whenever you're putting your defensive game plan together. This was the first game they had all 5 of them on the field together. 41 points.
Done and done. Justin Herbert in this contest, 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT. Keenan Allen, 11 for 175 and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Guyton, 4 for 41 and a touchdown. Quentin Johnston, 4 for 34 and his own touchdown. Austin Eckler with 4 for 48 as a receiver, then 19 for 67 as a runner, and 1 rushing touchdown. So they didn't choke. They fought. They just fell short.
Yeah, Justin Herbert and that great Chargers tradition, a good quarterback doing memorable things, but nothing memorable in terms of a team accomplishment, right? That's where we are. That's where we are. They already squandered his rookie contract, that window that's supposed to allow a team to really build up when you have a quarterback that comes out of the gate like Herbert. Great fantasy play. Play your quarterbacks against Detroit. Justin Fields next week, by the way. Austin Eckler looking better as a runner and as a receiver, still heavily involved, but it was all Keenan Allen, who left this game with a shoulder injury for a little while. So let's check the injury report. Let's see what happens. They're going to face Green Bay next week. Underachieving Chargers team. This is the kind of game they lose, but let's give it up for the Lions. The Lions did not just let the Chargers lose this game. The Chargers won it, and the Chargers once again get to be just this much behind an actual good team.
Actual good team does not exist with the Giants. Sorry. Too much going on with that team. The Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? 49-17, the final score. Cowboys are 6-3. Giants fall 2-8. Tommy DeVito, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Okay. Lawrence Cager with a touchdown. Sterling Shepard with a touchdown. Nobody started either one. You're not starting anybody except Saquon, who was 13 for 66 on the ground. Okay. And a catch for -5 yards. Okay. But it's kind of what we expected with the Giants, Bloom. This one, this side of the ledger can be somewhat brief.
Yeah, they come out and they stop Tony Pollard on 4th down on the first drive. Oh, the Giants maybe. No, the Giants aren't competitive at all. This was a true laugher. And they toyed with Saquon Barkley, Wildcat quarterback. Why not? This is bad. I mean, see, if there was a team that you could say, like, can they just call in sick Well, they're
Right.
facing Washington next week, but can the whole team just call in sick because you felt bad for them in this one? And Dallas, in typical Dallas fashion, treated this like an exhibition. They treated it like they were going to walk all over the opponent and walk all over them. They did.
These boots, right? Gonna walk all over you.
Nancy
Dak
Sinatra,
Prescott.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. 404 yards. Megadeth did it too. 404 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT. Brandon Cooks, 9 for 173 and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 11 for 151 and a touchdown. Michael Gallup, 2 for 70 and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson, 4 for 26 and a touchdown. Whew. Are we done? Not yet. Rico Dowdle, 12 for 79, a touchdown. Interesting conversation here. Tony Pollard, 15 for 55. Dak Prescott, rushing touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, rushing touchdown. It's like the Oprah game. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. And, well, now fantasy GMs are going, well, what is Rico Dowdle getting us from here on out?
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, that's the thing. Tony Pollard and these teams had a similar game in the first game of the season, and Pollard had a couple of touchdowns. This week, he was stopped on the first drive, and then to add insult to injury, fantasy injury, Dowdle gets a touchdown later on. But that story, and Tony Pollard's the most painful kind of fantasy bust because he continues to retain his role, maybe after this week, we'll see, continues to keep inducing us to put him in the lineup because, hey, when the Cowboys aren't blowing teams out, he's doing something. And then this team, well, they blew them out and he did something in that game. And he keeps inducing you to put him in your lineup and continues to let you down. We'll see what happens next week against Carolina as Dowdle, honestly, at the very least, you might want to go back to, look, if you have Tony Pollard, if they go back to something like the approach they had with him and Ezekiel Elliott last year, maybe it'll be good. Maybe there is something to the idea that 15, 18 touches a game is optimal for him because this offense can absolutely produce now because of the adjustments. And Cecil, I guess it makes sense that maybe the adjustments in the bye for Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer, maybe it was just CeeDee Lamb politely coming to their office and saying, please, I am a very good football player. I promise if you ask me to do more, we will do better. And maybe Dak Prescott co-signing that because you have now, for the first time in NFL history, a player that has 10 or more catches and 150 or more receiving yards in 3 straight games. That has never happened before. If I told you Brian Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy are going to break passing records, you would not believe me. It's just that simple, though. And then everything else opens up for Brandon Cooks. We'll talk about him on the waiver wire. Probably a one-off game, one of the best games of his career, though. And Jake Ferguson continuing to score. The one thing I do want to say about this Tony Pollard thing, though, that makes me sad, Cease, not the fantasy implications, and not that I had Pollard in way too many leagues, but the Cowboys just gave him a franchise tag this year, and they're going to look really smart for doing that, and teams are going to copy them now. Yep. And it's just going to be another argument to point to, what if the Cowboys had given him $30 million or $40 million guaranteed? They would not be very happy right now.
Right. So don't give the copycat league the reason to copy.
Yeah.
Copy that.
Ooh.
Our last game. I think it's our last game.
Yes.
Make sure it's our last game. Washington and Seattle. Sorry, it's been a day. Washington and Seattle, and it is Seattle getting that win. You're not benching Geno. 29-26, the final score. More on Geno in just a little bit. Let's talk about Sam Howell. 3 touchdowns, 312 yards. Awesome. So Brian Robinson had 6 for 119 and a receiving touchdown. Okay. And then 8 for 38 on the ground. Only 14 rushes in this contest for Washington. And what was it? 9 to 9 times. 9 to 9.5. 9. Not even a point. Touchdown, right?
Was there a touchdown in the first half? Yes, actually, because of a missed extra point.
Oh, missed extra point. Okay, I was like, wait a second.
Set up there. I
wait
flipped
a
it on
second.
you.
Yeah.
You thought I was going to say German for no, which would be bookending because we started out with the game in Germany. Well, we were supposed to, but it's
right. Antonio Gibson, 5 for 42. Every running back's playing receiver. Anyway, receiving touchdown. De'Ami Brown, 2 for 41 and a touchdown. You started Terry McLaurin. You got 4 for 33. I love Jahan Dotson. He didn't do anything. Curtis Samuel was back, 2 for 6. He didn't do anything. They didn't do anything except for 3 touchdowns, 312 yards from Sam Howell to running backs.
Yeah. And it makes sense, right? I mean, hey, credit to Eric Bieniemy right? Because if you were facing Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon, wouldn't you throw to the running back slot?
Yeah.
I would. I
Yeah.
would. And you saw them exploit that. And Sam Howell with another big game, by the way. So Sam Howell, you have some ups and downs, but the ups are good enough, like they were today, to keep him in your lineup. And Washington played this team straight up on the road, and this is a Seattle team that has some designs on making the playoffs. They're going to face the Giants next week, so everyone's going to get right? And even though it's a divisional game and they know each other, Terry McLaurin's going to get right. Jahan Dotson sees it was a dream that you just woke up from. You're not allowed to say his name anymore.
I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's talk about the guy we can't talk about. Geno, 31 of 47, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. DK Metcalf, 7 for 98. Tyler Lockett, 8 for 92 and a touch. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 4 for 53. It was Kenneth Walker with 19 for 63 on the ground and then 1 for 64 in a receiving touchdown. Zach Charbonnet, 6 for 44 in this contest, 4 catches, 18 yards. PPR, it counts. It all counts. Well, it counts because they got a W in the column, the correct column.
Yeah. And Geno Smith, like you said, pushes that doomsday clock, the Drew Lock clock, back a few minutes. Good enough, especially down the stretch, against a poor pass defense that lost the 2 best pass rusher. Geno's Chase Young, again, 49ers uniform today. So Geno for fantasy was good enough, keeping his job, going to face the Rams next week as this team is trying to get back to the playoffs. Kenneth Walker held in check, but getting enough touches that showing us that they trust him, that he's not secretly not actually healthy, and with the big 64-yard catch and run touchdown. DK Metcalf comes through on the drive to set up the game-winning field goal. Tyler Lockett catches the go-ahead touchdown that Washington was able to answer with Diami Brown. Leonard Williams got a sack. As a reminder, again, this team sees themselves as contenders. They gave up a second-round pick to get Leonard Williams. I think it was a solid trade for them, already paying some dividends. And yeah, we end this one on a high note for this passing game for Geno Smith, for Seattle, and for a league, Cease, that surprises us even when sometimes it's the same thing that surprised us last week.
And that's the surprise, right?
Yeah.
It can't do it Tuesday. Yeah, it can.
Yeah,
it can. It can do whatever it wants.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, man. Imagine how popular our YouTube channel would be if you got fantasy points for hitting like on our video. It'd be like a slot machine with Brandon Stokely at the helm. Just I'm as hot as a red pepper. Bloom, is that a wrap? Are we done? You feeling good, baby?
It.
We ready?
That's it. Because remember, the game, the Sunday night game is too spicy. It's our Sorry Joe Plus game cast. Bring your whips and chains.
Ah, spicy, as Russell Wilson said in his cringy Subway commercial. It is a Bronco show. I got him in. I'm going to go do it. That means more work. Anyway, you please help us with the YouTube channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. Follow Sigmund at Sigmund Bloom. The show is at the Audible. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying thank you very much. Audience participation. He's Sig. I'm Cease. We, the Audible. Everyone out there, stay tuned. Would you please? Eyes up, Bloom. Stay frosty.